Hi, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be talking about MLA citation style. So in today's video, we're going to be going through how to cite in text with MLA and then also how to cite in the works cited page at the end of your paper. So let's begin. Now, when you are working with in-text citations in MLA, the typical format is to go author's last name, page number. And so for a single author, it'll look just like this. So you have the last name of the author and then the page number. And then a real citation in text will look like this. So you have Austin as the author's last name, and then the page number that we're citing from in this case would be page 114. But not every source has one single author, and so it's good to know the different ways to cite in text as well. For multiple authors, there's two different ways to do it. If you have two authors and only two authors, you'll include both last names and the page number, very similar to how you would cite a single author. However, if you have three or more authors and you're citing in text for MLA, you want to do the last name of the first author listed on the text that you're citing from, and then put ET space AL period. And then don't worry about citing any of the other authors, just list that first one and then et al. And the page number. And then to see how this would actually look, you have for two authors, Smith and Johnson, and we're citing from page 345. And then for three or more authors, you have Thompson et al. 432. And then finally, the last type of in-text citation that I want to be talking about is if you have no known author. Typically, this is often the case with websites, but you can also have no known author in different types of sources too. And so in this case, you want to include, in quotation marks, a shortened version of the title of the text. And so in this case, we have Impact of Global Warming. That's not the full title, just a shortened version so you can differentiate between the different sources. And then if it does have page numbers, you can include page numbers, but if it's a website, they're not going to have page numbers. So you would just have the shortened version of the title, and then don't worry about including page numbers or anything if they don't exist. Now, for general MLA format in the bibliography and the works cited page at the end, it follows this general format. So you have author, title of the source, title of container, other contributors, version number, publisher, publication date, and location. Now, depending on the type of source you're citing, this could look wildly different. So if you're citing a book versus a scholarly journal article versus a website, these different elements that you have to include in the citation are going to mean really different things. So I'm going to walk you through 4 different types of common citations that you'll be creating in MLA format. Now, the first is the book. A book is the most simple way to cite in MLA. There's only really 4 things that you need to include. You include the author's name, the title of the text or of the book, the publisher, and the date or the year. So that will look like this. So you have author's last name, always last name first, comma, first name, title of the book that you're citing in italics. Then you have the name of the publisher and the year. Now, if you are citing a source with a subtitle, include that in with the title of the text. But if you don't have a subtitle or anything like that, just don't worry about it. Chapter in an edited book is slightly different than a regular book because typically in edited books, each chapter has a different author. So this one's a bit more complicated than just a typical single author book. So you have last name, first name, and that is the last name and first name of the author of the chapter you're citing. Then you have in quotation marks, title of the chapter that you are citing. Then in italics, title of the book as a whole. Edition, if you have an edition. If you don't have an edition, don't worry about it, but if you have an edition, include it here. And then you'll write edited by, and then the name of the editor or editors of that book that you're citing. And then you'll have publisher and year, same as with a regular book. And then the last thing that you want to include in that citation is the page range. Now, it's important to remember that when you are citing with a page range, don't include just the page that you cited and took information from. use the page range for the entire article, because that will show that you've cited the whole article, not just a single page of that article. And an example of how that could look would be like this. So you have author, title of the chapter, title of the book, who the editor is. In this case, this book doesn't have any edition, so you don't need to include that. Then you'll have the name of the publisher, the year, and then the page range. And remember to include the page range of the full article, not just that page that you're using. That's a chapter in an edited book. Scholarly article is probably one of the more complicated things that you are going to be citing in MLA format. It's kind of similar to chapter in an edited book though. So you'll have last name and first name of the author, title of the article, title of the journal that this article was published in. Then you'll have volume and issue numbers, year, and then the page range. Again, page range of the full article, not just the page that you're citing from. So that will look like this. Now, it's important to remember when you are citing journal articles that you know the difference between the name of the journal and the name of the article. Easiest way to compare it is to think of the name of the article as the chapter, the name of the journal as the book that published that chapter. And so you have Conflicting Nationalisms, name of the article, and then Tulsa Studies in Women's Literature, name of the journal. Volume and issue number is also important. Those are usually listed either on the database that you found the article in, or straight on the article. They'll usually list a volume and an issue number there. That's scholarly articles. Scholarly articles are, again, one of those more complicated citations that you're going to be creating, just because there's more information that you need to include in it than you would need to include in a typical book. Last thing that I want to cover about different types of citation styles is websites. Now, websites are pretty simple when citing in MLA. All you have to do, last name and first name of the author. Every type of citation, you're always going to want to start with the author, so that's an easy way to remember that. Last name, first name of the author, title of the web page, title of the website, URL, and because this is a web source, you're going to want to include an access date. Within MLA, access dates in a lot of cases are optional, but you want to make sure that you're including that access date for a website, because websites are types of information that can change rapidly, and you want to make sure if the information you got that information today, tomorrow it could change, so it's always important to include an access date for websites. And what that could look like would be this. So you have author, name, last name first, then the first name, the title of the web page that you're citing, which, similar to title of article versus journal, web page is the exact post that you're citing from, and then the website is that website as a whole. And then you have the URL and the access date. Make sure when you're including the access date or any dates in any of your MLA citation that you include it in MLA format, which is day, month, year, which would be July, or it would be 6 July 2015 instead of July 6, 2015. So that's just something that MLA is picky about. And then make sure that you know the difference between the name of the web page and the website. An example of that would be Wikipedia would be the website, and then the web page would be that specific article that you're citing from Wikipedia. Not that you should ever use Wikipedia as your sources, but that's just an easy example of what the difference between a web page and a website is. Now, if you have any questions about MLA format, feel free to reach out to me at the library, and I'd be more than happy to help out with any questions you have. But we also have a research guide on the library website that goes over MLA, and it goes over every type of source that you'd be citing in MLA. And so that's a really good place to look for information. And then library chat is also available from the library website, and we're happy to answer questions through that. And then you can always email me or email the library, and we can answer any citation questions you might have.